I convene this board meeting of the town of Queens. If you'll join me for the pledge, we can get started. This flag back here. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Candace, show that everyone's here tonight. We have it's not exactly a workshop discussion, but it was mentioned a couple times at the last meeting. Just for the board, I wanted to say if you want to do emails back and forth and check our schedules, we should probably schedule a workshop for August. This coming August, if everybody is in agreement with that.
Yeah, I know we have some vacations coming up. I have one next week. Ron, you're in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, end of August.
So we'll just go through email and see if we can find a date.
Shooting for the end of August, was that?
Probably the best.
Okay.
That would be best for you four, not for me.
We'll plug it before you leave.
I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning, but I'm convening the special meeting here for the 29th of July to discuss the tabled resolution. And the first one is our financing resolution for the wastewater improvement project. There were some questions about funding the project going on the $800,000 as was discussed before. There's WIA grant is coming up. I think the deadline's September 30th. There's other financing, zero interest to very low interest, essentially New York water grants. And the point that wasn't made at the meeting was that if we do have a failure, if our wastewater treatment plant has a catastrophic failure, the state of New York will mandate us to repair it regardless of what our financial condition is, and they will put a deadline on it. And if we are not going for grants, they will see it as negligence possibly. And as I discussed in the email I think that I sent the day after the meeting, we don't want that. So Ron, if you want to kick it off, you can read the resolution and we can have further discussion.
Okay. I, Councilmember Hoteling, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town board of the town of Queens Town is proposing to undertake a wastewater improvement project in connection with its sanitary sewer system, and whereas the town board seeks to apply for external funding assistance for the wastewater improvement project through the New York State Homes and Community Development Block Grant CDBG funding program, and whereas on June 12, 2025, the town board previously scheduled a public hearing to obtain input on community development needs and to establish priorities for community development funds. Whereas on June 12, 2025, the town board also consented to applying for a CDBG funding aid up to $2 million towards the total project costs for the wastewater improvement project, and authorized the town supervisor to act as its representative and certifying officer. Whereas following receipt of public input, the town board seeks to proceed with the wastewater improvement project and submit an application for CDBG funding for the same. Now therefore be resolved, the town board hereby determines that the wastewater improvement project is a type 2 action per section 6 New York CRR section 615.5.c, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and not likely to have a significant adverse environmental impact. And be it further resolved that the town board acknowledges that the current budget and estimated cost to complete the wastewater improvement project is $3,366,000. And be it further resolved that the town board's plan of financing for the wastewater improvement project, including cost, preliminary, and incidental thereto, consists of requesting CDBG funding of $2 million, and the town board hereby agrees to obligate necessary matching funds in order to finance the remainder of the cost of the project, which match is estimated to equal approximately $1,366,000. And be it further resolved that the town board recognizes that CDBG funding request of $2 million is the maximum grant amount threshold for NYSHCR for the wastewater improvement project, and therefore any cost of the project not paid from the grant, including any unforeseen costs, will be the responsibility of the town. And be it further resolved, the town board's plan of financing for the wastewater improvement project in the event of the anticipated CDBG funding of $2 million is awarded, is pledged to be underwritten by municipal contributions comprised of a combination of additional grant funding, including $500,000 that has already been congressionally allocated to the town under the United States Department of Agriculture, Water, and Environmental Programs, plus any necessary town allocations in order to complete the local match that will be drawn from the town's sewer fund balance, tax revenues, and public financing. And be it further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the town all such documents and instruments as NYSHCR may require in order to finalize such grant funding, including without limitations the application and project contractual agreements and documents.
I'll second that for discussion.
Discussion? Oh, and also, thanks Scott for joining us, Scott Siegel. If anyone has any questions, he'll be at the lectern and ready to answer any. If you're more comfortable seated, you can remain seated.
No, it's good.
Okay, thanks.
You can go up if anyone
Yeah.
has.
Thank you.
I have a few things, just off the top of my head. So in 2022, the town board went for sort of a very similar grant, correct? Mr. Donnelly?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And it was for $2.5 million. In their grant, it did not say anything about matching the remaining. In this case, it'd be $866,000. Now that was denied. That grant was not accepted, and I think we talked a little bit about why it was not accepted, and maybe Mr. Siegel can attest to this or not. But was it not accepted? We think possibly because they did not match the remainder amount. They didn't say specifically we're going to match the remaining X number of dollars of what the project could cost. Is it that like grants, like this, the federal government wants to see with these grants that it's a to completion sort of grant that you're going to come up with the rest if?
Sure. So forgive me, I'm not familiar with the application you're referring to in 2022. All grant programs are different, no two are alike. However, one thing that they tend to have in common with one another is that if they're going to be granting money towards a particular project, they want to know that the project is going to move forward. And so part of showing project readiness, if you will, is having some sort of documented commitment that the funding exists in order to cover the costs of the project, or to at least cover whatever funding gaps remain after your grants have come through. Case in point, Supervisor mentioned the WIA program, which are those applications are going to be due at the end of September. New York State EFC and the WIA program, they actually require bond resolutions. I know there's been some back and forth over whether a bond resolution even currently exists or not, because it was mentioned in the application for that $500,000 congressional the USDA funding that you received. I'm inclined to think there actually is no such resolution, but it was intelligent to put it in there because that probably did help them make the decision to say, oh, well, if they have a bond resolution, then they'll be able to cover the other costs. WIA would require that. So that is something I want to put on your radar as we get a lot closer now to September. They're going to want to see a bond resolution, and generally for the amount of the project itself. So whereas here you're saying, okay, we have USDA funding, we're applying for $2 million in CDBG, we're trying to bring those costs down and down as far as we can. New York State EFC is going to say, show me a bond resolution for $3.5 million. Or it's probably not going to score as well as other applications that are submitted. And that's just for project one. So if we go for project two, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think it's important to plant that seed in advance. If we are going to try to get money through that program for project two being the treatment plant as well, they're gonna want all the same documentation for that. So it's a conversation I'm sure that we'll have to have, going forward, sooner than later. But that is something that, you do want to have in mind. So stating that the town is willing to have, make the commitment to cover any funding gaps that exist after your grants have been awarded, definitely makes applications a lot stronger.
And unfortunately, up until last Wednesday, that discussion was never had. There was nothing in your presentation originally. There was nothing in your documentation that indicated that we were going to have to come up with a bond resolution for $3.3 million in order to go with this grant. Otherwise, from the start,
With the WIA.
With the next grant.
with the
That's not for this one.
that's not for
That's
CDBG?
not for CDBG.
Okay.
That's the next step.
Okay.
So which, like I said, we can continue that conversation. We can play that out and see what is in the best interest of the town or where the will may or may not be at that point.
So that's WIA. WIA is the one that
That's the
requires,
EFC.
and that's what we did in 2022.
Yes,
It was a WIA
that's the same.
grant for sewer system improvements.
So, right, for example, I know in the supervisor's message that went out, he mentioned the low interest or no interest financing through the state revolving fund program, which goes hand in hand with WIA, it's all through New York State EFC. In order to get into, to be approved for SRF financing, that is absolutely a criteria through that program. They won't give you an agreement for it without an executed bond resolution.
So specifically to CDBG, you or LaBerge gave us an engineering report saying that we need $3.3 million.
Technically, the engineering report came from MJ Engineering, but we took that information and
So
updated it to fall in line with current.
originally started with MJ, ended with LaBerge. You did whatever you did in addition to MJ's analysis, and this is where we're at. We're at $3.3 million. With
And
CD,
It is a conservative estimate, I
Conservative.
do want to state for the record.
glad you said that too.
We tend to build in contingencies, because you just never know with these projects.
So just so you're clear, what do you mean by conservative?
I know what he means by conservative in that they've added cost into that $3.3 million to accommodate for.
Right, that it very well may come in less than that,
Right.
but they want,
That is absolutely correct, yes.
And just to reference this from 2022, the resolution authorizing for this application of a REA grant. The defect we seem to see here in the whereas clause for the $2.5 million that was unanimously approved in 2022. That is why EFC, we think, rejected what they're calling the bond/board resolution, because there was no commitment. It's a whereas clause.
Right.
Is that close to?
essentially, so there's an email that they sent later in November of that year where they indicated the only real authorization under that resolution is to submit the grant. The rest is really sort of background, right? There's a reference in the whereas clause to the town's going to cover the 2.5 to the extent it's not covered by grants, but they didn't, that's not considered a plan of funding, which is what we try to do in that second to last resolve for in the proposed resolution.
But just to be clear, with regards to this CDBG grant, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, if this resolution is approved and we proceed and we are fortunate enough to get the $2 million, we will then be required to come up with the $1.366 million in addition.
Minus the 500,000.
if that does come to fruition, because I mean, again, I read the language in the resolution, I've had discussions, I understand that it has been congressionally allocated, but that my gut tells me that we still don't have the money in hand, we still don't have a commitment letter in hand. So I'm just gonna call it $1.366 million. If we get the $500,000 USDA stuff, great, but my question is, are we on the hook?
You're that close. I just want to say for the record, we're that close to having that USDA money in your pockets.
Okay, but this close
Something we're
doesn't
working on.
necessarily.
I just don't want anybody to think that there's a chance you're not going to see that money.
Okay.
I promise you're going to see that money.
The way and we had a conference call with New York State officials, right? The way that they characterized it was we need to submit the final sort of paperwork, and then they will consider it allocated, I think, is sort of the next technical term that they do. But it's really just a matter of us submitting it. As to that 500, they don't seem concerned that, say, the federal government's gonna pull it back from New York State, which would prevent them from.
It's already in the budget. It's already approved in the federal budget.
Okay.
It's there. It's yours. Nancy has been working on that. Nancy in my office, Nancy Custing's been working on that for a while. We had to kind of slow it down a little bit in order to do what we're doing right now to hit Thursday's deadline. But we're right there. We're right there. I mean, our goal is to have it done before now. So we ran into a little bit of a hiccup, but nothing
Yeah, I
spectacular.
don't like hiccups.
No, sorry, that was
Well, that was our last
on my
meeting.
part.
Now we're at 48 hours before.
Administrative, slowdowns, if you will. But it's right there. You will absolutely have that money.
Okay,
Much,
so
much sooner than later.
to confirm, whatever we get, if we are granted the $2 million CDBG grant, if we're not granted it, then the whole thing goes away. Fine, I understand that. But if we get the $2 million CDBG grant, and if we get the $500,000 USDA grant, the town will be on the hook for $866,000 in order, it's not gonna be an option. It's not gonna be, it's gonna be, you committed to this, you now figure out how to come up with the rest of the money, correct?
Essentially, yes.
If you want the
We
money.
can go for there are other grant opportunities, again, further discussion.
Again, we don't know that that's gonna happen. We don't know that that's gonna come to fruition.
Correct. Yeah.
And to be
There,
clear,
and
if we have a massive failure
there-
anywhere on these projects before this, and we don't go for these grants, the town will be mandated by New York State
it's
to make the repairs.
so public utility systems, water sewer systems, and other systems are regulated, as you know, by New York State. If there's a failure, a catastrophic failure, something happens that is, directly correlates to the health and safety of the public, they're gonna start flexing their muscle, at least in my experience, that's what I've seen. Nobody wants that because they're not friendly about it and it costs a lot. They hit municipalities with unbelievable penalties, like every month, like to the tunes of tens of thousands of dollars in penalties.
So then that essentially that
Until-
$3.3 million will come out of our fund budget and will be,
Not even, I mean, you
Broke.
can build a bond, right, because you can't use your general fund, you can't use your aid fund, I mean, this is.
You have to use
this is
your
for the
sewer fund.
Test fund, right, so.
Special sewer.
and then
It's
then we'd be on the hook
catch
with
22,
$3.4
right? It's
million.
not for me to, I can't tell
No, I know,
anybody
I know.
to
There's no guarantee we're gonna get $2 million out of this grant anyway.
That's also correct.
But we are guaranteed at some point, Keith, that our wastewater treatment plant that has been neglected for 15 years is going to fail.
What's that?
There is a guarantee that the wastewater treatment plant will fail at some point.
We have problems.
Right.
Yes, we have
And
problems.
it's been breaking for years and years,
So we,
correct?
We've been lucky enough to
Put
keep it
Band-Aids
going,
on
and
it.
it's been going, but
Okay.
it does need some work.
Well,
Right.
and I'll say
So we
this.
have to complete this project.
Well, and I'll say this, I mean, in 2022, the town board felt like it was bad enough where they paid MJ to do an engineering report to
Yeah.
find out what was wrong, what needed to be done. They put forth a resolution to try to get $2.5 million for maybe various reasons or whatever. It was not accepted, and we didn't get any money. So therefore, we just sort of kept this going and putting Band-Aids on things. So in 2022, there was a real worry that it was bad and it would get worse. And 3 years later, it's probably gotten worse. I would say Keith would agree with that. So we're left with, what do we do, right? I mean, it's a critical water and sewer municipalities. It's a critical thing. You cannot not have water or sewer. And I know about 2 months ago, Keith sent an email, and I was at my computer, and he said that one of the pumps at the pump station went down. Like, and his exact words were, "We waited too long." And I said, well, how long does it take to get a pump? Like, let's go get it to Albany, get a pump and put it in. 10 to 12 weeks wait time. So that means, if you live in the village or if you live in the town of Queens and you use sewer, and when you go to flush your toilet, are you more upset about taking a bond out over 30 years at 0% interest? Hopefully.
Well, you don't know that.
We don't know that, but low interest hopefully for 30 years. And I checked with Regina today, 30 years at 0 interest. If we got 0 interest, it's $2,200 a month, $26,000 a year at 0 interest. So would you rather have your toilet not flush?
Well, I mean, if you're talking specifically about the pumps, I've already said that we should already pay and have the pumps replaced. I've already said that. That's already been my opinion.
But that's just a small part of the entire thing that's wrong with it.
I know, but right now, that's the thing that's in dire need is those pumps. And those pumps should have already been ordered.
If that was the case, if that was only the case, it would have been in 2022.
So why would we just have him order a pump? That's just another Band-Aid. That's all we're doing. We're not fixing
Well,
what's
they're
happening.
two separate projects.
Correct.
You
Yes,
have the trunk lines and the
Yes,
and the lift stations,
Right.
and you have a wastewater treatment
Right.
plant, and the option to combine the two.
exactly.
This is what we've been working through for the past
Right.
few months.
So I guess my other question is, you mentioned the low interest loans, Scott, like the zero, or I forget what you called the type of loans.
Yeah, there's various different ones, like what USDA offers loans,
But-
UFC offers loans through the state.
But maybe I misunderstood. Did you just say we could only utilize those loans if we went after the next round, which is like the WIA, or did municipalities get those loans for something like this?
So in regard to the WIA program, the ones that go with that is the, pardon me, the New York State State Revolving Loan Fund, the SRF. And it's administered through New York State Environmental Facilities Corp, EFC, and they generally do go hand in hand with the WIA program. Some projects can apply for only just WIA, which is straight grant money. Others can apply just for straight financing, which in the best case scenario, and I have not looked at it in depth yet, I know the town did conduct an income survey. So I'm hoping that income survey will qualify the town for low, if not no interest, what they call hardship loans through that program. However, one of the criteria to be eligible for that program before they will issue a contract for it is they're a bond resolution, and not for, they're saying this is their rules, not mine. They want to see that the project can be paid for. Basically what they want to see is you're making the commitment to this project. They're not saying take out a bond for $3.5 million and spend $3.5 million. They're saying just show us that you're serious about this project. And that's kind of what they're looking at. I haven't done a project yet myself where somebody took out a bond for the whole amount and actually used the whole amount. That's anti what we do at LaVerge Group. Our whole mission is to get those costs down as low as humanly possible so that you're really only financing just the gap that's out there that we weren't able to get grant funding for.
And when we say gap, like I think Mr. Donnelly said the WIA, which is coming out soon, if we do go for a WIA grant to help with the $866,000, is that usually between 25 and 50% of
That
the
is
cost?
correct. So the 50% mark is actually new this year. And because I've been so tied up with current deadlines, I haven't been able to fully explore as well as I would have. So in another week or two, I'll be hopefully a lot more versed in this particular topic. This year, there is a caveat to that program where certain municipalities, and I forget if it's an income threshold or population threshold, or maybe depending on the type of project, are eligible for up to 50% this year. Historically, it's been up to 25% of the net remaining costs. So let's do conservative the other way, right? So $3.5 million project, $2 million from CDBG, best case scenario, $2 million from there, about $500,000 from USDA. So there's $2.5 million. Now you have $1 million left on the table to try to figure out. We go to WIA, let's say the 25%. There's another 250 towards it. So now the town needs to find a way to cover 750,000 towards a $3.5 million project. I mean, at the end of the day, that's pretty good bang for the buck, all things considered. But again, that all comes down to the will of the town, what the priorities may or may not be at the time.
I know you're gonna say it's hard to say, but in your experience, like when you help municipalities with the WIA grants, are they, do most municipalities who apply for them get them, even at like the 25%? Are they fairly common to get for municipalities, especially like sewer or water projects?
We have been, I won't say no, not all of them. Not everybody gets awarded. We've gone back several rounds. They usually will get awarded in the case where a particular client or project might need to go back 2 or 3 times. They usually will get it the second or third time, if not the first time. A lot of it has to do with what level of deficiency are we at with a particular project. I know in this case, I have a number of violation letters in my files regards to the system. I know there's an I&I issue. So a lot of things like that can go a long way towards saying, we need your help, and we need it like right now, or we're gonna be in rough shape.
Do you have any sense if there's overlap in the criteria, in that if you are successful obtaining a CDBG grant, are you sort of more likely to also receive WIA funding?
Yes. Yeah, it's absolutely something I've learned that reviewers look at in agencies. If a particular community is aggressive, about going after certain opportunities and trying to offset costs to taxpayers, they get that. The state gets that. They understand there's a 2% tax cap still hanging out there. They understand that, there's things out there, and so it does say something. It makes a statement when you're proactively looking to solve a problem and going after grants and trying to keep those costs down to your ratepayers and taxpayers in your district. No, we can already show that. You're already doing it, so you already kind of have
Explains
that in
the
your back
USD
pocket.
grant and the quilt that we're making.
Correct. Again, there's never a guarantee. I can never guarantee anything. It just doesn't work that way. But I'm confident to say you're in a strong position, stronger than most.
Supervisor, the estimation of the work, where's that coming from?
That'd
Is
be
that coming from MJ, from
the engineering, or the engineering report, the PER?
Scope of work is from MJ.
MJ from
and
2022?
From 2022, 23, yeah.
So I'm just concerned that, 2026, is that number gonna be kind of held there? Or
That's where that number is. That's hence the conservativeness. That's why we updated MJ's cost.
MJ's was at 2.5.
They were at about
2.2.
2.5. So we,
From 2022?
so our engineers went in.
But
and-
nothing was ever put out for bid or nothing, no scopes, no nothing.
No, because we didn't get the grant.
Right. So do we know the actual, what it's gonna cost to do these?
Well, LaBerge took MJ's $2.5 million engineering report
Right.
and bumped it up to $3.366
It's
million.
all an estimate. Obviously,
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
never know for sure what the actual cost is until we get to the point where the town's ready to go out to bid. And we
Well,
get those back and then.
That's a concern, right?
What is your contingency percentage you have in the project?
And bring it with me, but it's gotta be at least 25%, 25 to 30%.
So the only thing I'm thinking, if we say it's $3 million worth of work and we get it and then we put it out to bid and it comes back at $5 million. Now what happens?
Oh, then.
Then we're on the hook if we
We
Well,
have
I'm
some
just-
resolution.
I think we're going down the right road, but I'm cautious about talking hypothetical numbers, it seems like, right?
Yeah, and it,
Well, it's totally an estimate, there's no doubt,
Yeah.
it's a cost estimate based on.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yes, I am comfortable compared to the option of total plant failure.
Well, I understand.
Catastrophic failure, which we are heading towards. There have been other administrations that went out for CDBG grants. Nancy Costin had me contact Candace to see if any were ever awarded in the past 10 years, and the answer is no. So there have been past administrations that tried to address this problem and been largely unsuccessful. So it's fallen into our lap, and we have to deal with it.
No,
It's just the fact.
I totally agree with that. I just want to make sure that
and Keith, you're the subject matter expert. Are we at catastrophic issues right now?
No, I just,
Okay.
but we have a lot of issues,
Sure.
you know, and a
Of
lot
course.
of problems, like, you know, like I
We could have a
said,
brand new system and we could have a lot of issues.
definitely.
It happens.
You
Look,
know, I'm just saying that, you know, like the UV system, that's a critical point, you know, we're not, you know, we're meeting satisfactory, we're passing our speed permit and stuff like that, but we are actually out there cleaning it daily or weekly, just so that we can pass parameters, because it doesn't work, you know? You know, but that, like I said, it's gonna be $30,000 to fix it and everything, roughly, I think I gave the quotes to you, and it was $125 to replace it for 20 years. But we're just, like I said, it's a Band-Aid, and then you got the clarifier, that was another $60,000, just replace the stuff in that, and that's not even all of it, because we had to reply the crane, to lift it out and have it there when they bring it back, and, you know, so there's other added costs, and then you got $100,000 for each lift station.
So are you comfortable with the amount of work that you're doing? Because I noticed that your time card had tons of overtime on it.
Hey, it is what it is, we're down to
Well,
God.
are you comfortable with it? How
what is
long
that?
can you sustain this as two guys down
well,
there?
that's why we have 40 applicants that you're supposed to be going
Yes,
through.
and I just started
That's your
calling
chief
it out
officer.
today, so, but I'm just going to, yes, we do need some work. I'm not saying, you know, we're gonna be, I hate to use words like that, but, you know, but we are in serious, with the lift station, we are in serious.
Right, but we think back a month ago when you sent out an email,
Well, that's it. you know?
Riverview is down.
Yes, it was.
Riverview is down, and
We
then
got
by
it
the
fixed.
end of the day,
We were
you're like,
lucky
hey,
to fix it.
Emmons came and got it going again because we pulled out a bunch of latex gloves and surgical masks.
But those pumps are going, they're 25 years old, or,
Right.
you know, so they've seen their wear and tear of grime and grit running through those impellers. That's just wear and tear, 25 years of infrastructure running through it, so that's just what it is, you know, it's not anything other than just wear and tear over the years. We just need,
That's what
we just have never stuck money into the sewer plant in all these years. I've been there 18 years. We have done cosmetic stuff, we put windows, doors, air conditioning, stuff like that, new roof, heating system, stuff like that, which was all mandated. Some of the stuff that we had done was mandated by the state, and we had bonds, like, and stuff like that. We got 4 or 5 bonds out now that we're paying for projects that we did. So, you know, this is just part of it, you know, I understand. I worry about the plant, but that's my job, you know, but, you know,
It's our job
we keep
too.
it going, and I work with what we got. You guys control it, and you guys gotta go after the money, and if we get it, we get it. If we don't, we'll Band-Aid it. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, that's just like him with a truck. If he needs the parts, he gets it fixed, and then we'll worry about it later. That's how I am. You know, I don't wanna say that we're catastrophic, but we're at a point where we need to spend some money.
Okay.
You know,
Yes,
What, any of this work that's really required to do the pumps now, order these parts, if that work is done, two-part question, can you get that money in the grant? You've done the work, can you still get grant money?
for the
Two,
pumps, yes.
Is any of this new parts that we will wanna put in, are they the same parts that are gonna be in the new system? Could we go out and get these pumps, put them in, and then the new system, we're doing all the work, this will be the right equipment or not?
USDA had said in our last meetings that we could purchase the pumps. There's 8 to 10 week lead times, as Mike had said, that we can go ahead and purchase those with the $500,000. We're using part of that as, with engineering reports anyway. That's
I
already
think there's,
happening.
there's two
But
answers
then
to
the
that
new
question.
system, the new system that we're putting in, all this money we're spending, if we spend this money now, is that gonna be able to be used in the new system?
There's no new system. We're just gonna put a whole new lift station.
Oh, okay,
Completely
there's
new.
different.
Sorry, that's why you misunderstood.
Okay, so the whole new lift station, how much is that? $100,000. Okay.
So, but just to clarify, if you, as I understand it, if work is done after July 31st, prior to a decision on the CDBG application, you can't use CDBG funds for that work, right? It would be carved out of the amount that you're applying. Separately, we did get this grant of USDA money that in theory, the USDA folks have indicated that you could use, but it.
And that's why we should have already bought it.
would not be part of the.
So
CDBG
USDA
application.
gave us the okay.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a roundabout way. So CDBG program, the application in question for tonight's meeting is, the applications are due Thursday by 4 o'clock. Once that deadline comes, if something happens with the system, we apply, and the items that have to be replaced or fixed or whatever are within the scope that was sent to the CDBG program for funding, they won't back pay it. You can't say, well, we already fixed this. They won't pay for anything until after an executed grant agreement, which won't be until February or March.
Quite a long time.
However, because there's the USDA caveat, and that is also part of this project, they have a different set of criteria. And so what the supervisor was saying is we've already obtained permission from USDA, so we don't even have to involve CDBG.
Yeah.
If something does happen with a lift station and something has to be repaired, USDA has already given us permission to proactively replace that, and they will still reimburse for
Okay,
those
so
expenses.
Mr. Schmidt said,
Why haven't we done
why
it?
aren't we going forward?
I don't
Because
understand.
we're sort of stalled here and we have to move these forward before we accept the bid that we have from Emmons, is that correct?
No, that's not what he,
We haven't done anything with the bid yet.
Right, we've held the bid essentially in abeyance. I think we received verbal confirmation from USDA 10 days ago.
Yeah.
It took a while to get that confirmation.
that's fine. 10 days ago, I mean, it should have been on the resolution last Thursday that we purchased the pumps. I mean,
Any
Keith,
further discussion about
Keith, did you
the
want to say
CDBG
something?
grant?
No, I'm waiting because once they say that we have the money and I can order those parts, I will. But I ain't saying nothing until you guys tell me, yes, I can order them. And I'll call an order, because I talked to the guy several times and I had to call him back and say, stop, because we did, I gotta wait for approval. So I have not ordered them. Everything's there. I just gotta call him and I gotta sign the contract and send it back to him, and then he'll order everything. But he ain't getting nothing until I sign the contract saying that we're gonna pay for it.
So Keith, you sat here and you mentioned, some of the pumps, the bulbs, like, that kind of stuff, and you kept racking off numbers, right? And again, I think that was like probably $350,000, $400,000 just of those few things. But that's $350,000, $400,000 in stuff to keep us going.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, like, if we get a grant for $3.1 million, more than just that stuff's going to be done.
Definitely.
I mean, so do we just buy some new stuff now so that we can have some other things down the road go bad?
No, I mean, like I said, like, we could go CAD, we get a system where we have one place where you can go and look and see everything that's going on in the plant. You can get a little more forward. Right now, you have to physically go around and walk around the plant and do everything. You got valves downstairs, upstairs, but if you were on CAD or something where you could see it, like when I was home, and there was, it was raining, I could go on my phone or whatever, or computer, and look it up and see what's going on at the plant, and then shoot down there and check, if there's any problems. We have no alarm systems on anything in the plant. So that's an upgrade, just getting an alarm system, but if it goes to go with CAD, every pump, everything has to have tied together. That computer's gonna be tied to the pumps and the flow meter and all that. So there's gonna be electrical stuff, and each valve has to have a motor on it now. So that it'll crank and open that and close it when you need it, stuff like that, Then you have new generator. We were out there every 2 weeks putting antifreeze in it because there's a junk, but that's 10 years old. So every 2 weeks we go out and put antifreeze in so it runs the next time. These are little things that you guys don't know about, but these are things that we do on a daily basis. But I can't tell you everything that goes wrong down there. I mean, but these are problems, but these are things I think of and.
And I guess my point is, all that stuff, we're getting, if we pay for it out of pocket, yeah, we're still on like the $800,000 mark, but we're getting $2.5 million additional on top of that to do
Maybe.
tons of other stuff.
I would
Right.
just clarify too, that some of that work is what they would characterize as phase two, right? I mean, the work within the plant is really phase two. This
Right.
grant, MJ's study that's, 2 or 3 years old, was focused on phase one, which was the transmission lines
Right.
and your lift station.
Right.
Yeah, because you got I&I issues, you could slip line, you could use that money, if they use that, you can use slip line, I mean, you could spend 50 grand and do 150 feet of slip line, I mean, it gets expensive.
And again, like if it was USDA and it's $500,000 and we're gonna get the $500,000 and we're gonna spend the $500,000 on whatever we can do with the $500,000, fine. If this grant was $2 million and we were to get the $2 million and we would put $2 million into the plant or into the pump lift stations or whatever it is, fine. But the issue that I have is that this grant locks us in to coming up with an additional $1.366 million minus the $500,000 from USDA, maybe, at the recommendation of LaBerge.
Yes.
Clarification.
Sure.
The intent of this resolution, which I do, just for clarification purposes, was drafted not by LaBerge. This was the brainchild of others that wanted it a certain way. Our draft resolutions that we provide to our clients are generally far more cut and dry, and we don't. When you're applying for a grant application, there's nothing that's intended to be in that application that's to commit you to anything. There's nothing handcuffing you to say, if we get this grant now, we absolutely have to come up with the rest of this money. That's not the intent, and that's not.
But you won't get the $2 million.
No, you could still get the $2 million, but if you're going to do, it strengthens the application to say that, because you're coming to the table with a $3.5 million project. Right? It is incredibly common after the fact. Let's say you do win, right? You have $500,000 in USDA, and then let's say, stars align and we're successful with a CDBG application. You have another $2 million. Now you have a $2.5 million project towards what was billed as a $3.5 million project. That project, after the fact, can absolutely be re-evaluated. It can be scaled back. We can do with the money that you have minus any potential required matches, which CDBG does not have any. Forgive me, I forget if USDA had a particular, I don't think they did, right?
They did for the
They didn't
500,
have one.
no.
So for the two grant programs that we are talking about right now, there's no required local match requirement.
So you increased,
So hypothetically speaking, if this comes through and you win, you now have $2.5 million or so to do some work with. You don't have to make it a $3.5 million project.
that's not what this resolution says.
I understand that's not what it says. It's
Estimated.
not, again, it's not intended to handcuff you to that dollar amount for the total project. It's intended to strengthen the application. It's about presentation. We're ready, we're serious,
from-
this is
like
what we
that.
wanna
From a
do.
legal perspective, we will, I think it was within 45 days of a grant being awarded, is when we would actually be presented with a contract from the state, and at that point, I mean, you could decline to enter into the contract.
No, I don't wanna decline the contract, you know, all this work being done, I mean, that's just a waste of resources. I mean, the resolution should say that we're going for a $2 million grant and we're gonna spend $2 million if we get the $2 million grant. I would be comfortable with that. That's not what this says. This says that we're gonna try to do $3.3 million worth of work and we're going after a $2 million grant.
Yeah, I mean, we based it on, I forget the name of the individual who sent us the template, but, I mean, that's what we based it on, so. I mean,
So we work backwards on the community development side when we're doing like budgets and that for grant applications, we work backwards. So, the MJ report had a dollar amount in it. Our engineers then looked at it and updated the cost to reflect current value with some additional contingency and things to be on the safe side. We then work backwards with the numbers. We have, all right, here's our potential total project cost. We can apply for this much, which actually the $2 million amount is only because of the USDA funds. That's a what they call co-funding. Without that, if we take that out of this application, then you really only qualify for $1.5 million. Regardless, we scale projects back all the time. If it comes down to, again, if you win and you get this money, we can take a look at, well, what can we do? Lift stations, probably top priority, and then we revisit the trunk sewer line, and well, our engineers do, and they will say, okay, well, here's what we can do for what money you have to work with.
So just so I'm clear,
It's possible to do that, and it happens actually quite frequently.
so just so I'm clear, Mr. Siegel, what you're saying is, we have to put this, a lot of this wordage and numbers are here because it strengthens your application.
The resolution is actually required.
Oh, you're right, right.
It's really all it is at this point is a formality to submit a grant application.
Yeah.
It's not intended to commit anyone to anything. You could decide, you could end up winning, right? You get notified in December, January, whenever they tend to do it this time around. You could get notified, it's like, oh, congratulations, you got a $2 million award, and then at that time, maybe something has changed, and you could say, you know what, we don't need it anymore, we're not interested.
Because what you're saying is for me, is a big game changer, in the sense that you're saying if we get it and we decide, you know what, things have changed, instead of, from your estimates, 1.36 million, we want to scale it back a little bit, that could only be 800,000, 700,000 if we chose to, and that would be okay. We can scale it back
as much as is
because
reasonable.
we're under the preconceived notion that like whatever this is, and you're gonna have to come up with it.
Absolutely. Let me be clear about this.
Right.
There is absolutely nothing binding to the town or to the board by way of this resolution. That is,
Mr. Riley, I got a question for you.
how it's worded, but that is absolutely not.
And again, it's in the wording of this. What is this board's safety valve with respect to that statement?
You decline to enter into a contract when it's presented to you. Or a future town board declines to do that, right? If the contract is presented in January, this town board can't obligate the next town board.
Does that have to be explicitly stated in a resolution? Because that's how.
Contract is, if they issue you an award, and say, hey, we'd like to give you this money, and you decline to enter into the contract, the state of New York isn't going to come after the town of Queens to compel you to take their $2 million and complete the rest of the project. They just won't issue the $2 million.
Also, can we further the point that when you say others, you mean EFC gives us specific language and not following those recommendations as this 2022 resolution failed to do and put their language in a whereas clause, which
So
is the
EFC is a different animal entirely. Completely different animal. They work hand in hand, fortunately several state agencies do nowadays.
Point being, like, if non-lawyers start to monkey around with resolutions, you could do more harm than good.
The rules under EFC programs.
But non-lawyer is monkeying with resolutions.
Just statement.
I'm not sure why you would say that, but okay.
EFC is gonna require much more hard and fast.
Well, if you start putting language in a resolution, Rich, that it is obvious and speaks to what a grant, how grants operate, couldn't you be cornering yourself in and restricting yourself, or maybe promising things that you can't follow up on?
I mean, the folks at LaBerge are much better versed in terms of this application process. They asked us for a resolution that they said would maximize our likelihood of receiving the grant. And so we drafted it in the way that we thought met that criteria. We circulated it to them. We sent it to the town board. If we start sort of rewriting the resolution to not make the commitments that we're making, and that, we rewrite the resolution to not convey that we're serious about proceeding with the project, I assume it would undermine, the weight that it will carry with CDBG. I don't think that's really a sort of a legal question. It's more of just the practicalities of, they want to know, is this applicant serious or not?
Sure.
And Burge has told us that this is a component of conveying the seriousness of the town of Queens.
In my opinion, like with what Mr. Siegel said just now regarding you could always scale back, you're not locked into necessarily that. And also too, it's sewer. It's an investment for something that obviously has had issues in 2022, or also town board went after, the $2.5 million grant. And if you have to look at it as an investment, I mean, it's like college. I don't want to pay, hundreds of thousands of dollars for my kids to go to college. That's a lot of money, but like it's an investment for their future. This is an investment for the town of Queens' future. And I don't even get sewer. I'm on a septic, so it doesn't impact me, but I can see the importance of it for those who do use it and for municipality for decades to come. You have to start doing it somewhere. Nobody likes to pick up the tab, but
Also, the state views it as a necessity.
sure.
Then we should have already bought the pumps. Because 10 days ago, according to Mr. Riley, we got a commitment that said that we could spend the money. So why haven't we bought the pumps yet?
Because we're trying to go after $2.5 million instead of spending
But-
$400,000 of our own.
But we could have bought the pumps exclusive of all this.
Correct.
Right. Once again, it's of a piece, so we're moving forward.
The sewer is a priority. I mean, outside of the town hall, the sewer is definitely a priority. I think it's a priority more than other things that we're probably gonna talk about later. I think that the previous board started this work back in 2022 and saw that its importance, and I know things have changed since 2022 with respect to numbers and all that. I think that this current board was left in a extremely good financial situation when we took it over. I, like Mr. Schmidt, I think I'm a little concerned about spending $800,000, but I think, we were left with some good money. And I think we can actually, budget correctly to accommodate the $800,000, again, on the backs of what we were left. The sewer's a priority, and I think that, we would look stupid if the whole system went to hell down there, That's just my opinion. I think we have to make a shot at this. Now that I know that we have a safety valve and we can adjust things and all that. But again, that's just my opinion.
Mr. Siegel, one last question. So you indicated previously that you have about a 25 to 30% built-in contingency. So you're saying that on $3.36 million, a 25% contingency is about $840,000.
The contingency isn't on the total amount. The contingency is only on the construction portion.
Okay.
So I should have brought the, shame on me. I don't have the documentation with me tonight
So
for that, but if I were to grab the updated cost estimate that our engineers put together, you could see where it's broken out.
safe to say maybe,
You have your construction costs and your equipment costs and your soft costs and your engineering and your design and all that broken out.
$200,000.
Yeah, it's probably easily, probably 200, $250,000, maybe even 300. I don't want to guess. I have those numbers. I can easily transmit those to you so that we all know what the number is.
Can I ask a question?
Ennis.
I just have a question about Seeker. It's a $3 million project revolving around wastewater improvement, and it's not likely to have any significant environmental impact.
There is, among the categories of a type 2 action, which is a matter of state law, is deemed not likely to have a significant adverse environmental impact would be the repair or replacement of sort of existing infrastructure, which is what we're doing. Setting that aside, I mean, what you're truly doing is, there are I&I problems with these pipes. There are, if anything, it'll improve any environmental concerns, but as a matter of just statutory interpretation under seeker, this would be it.
So it's looking under 617.5.c, and there's about 45 other subsections under point C. So I didn't know if
There's
we
a
could
lot.
specify as to
So type, it
what
could,
that would be.
sure, it could fall under type 2, meaning essentially replacement in kind.
Okay.
And working in already previously disturbed areas. Having said that, we've already gone through the motions of doing a coordinated review for seeker on this. So whether it's type 2, unlisted type 1, I mean, there's gonna be a negative declaration at the end of the day, no matter what.
Thank you.
Linda, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I think he was very thorough. Thank you. No, appreciate it.
It seems you really have about 10 to 15% contingency in that project. In the relative scope of projects that I've done, this is not a large project. So 10% is probably adequate. Does the town have additional monies in other funds that you could draw from if this goes over?
In SS, it would be, what is that, 8630.4 contractual, Keith? There's I think there's.
No.
Yeah, it's
about
in the
fund
hundreds
reserve?
of thousands, I think it's almost 300,000.
From another fund, it would almost have to be, it would have to be a loan, right? You can't use monies that are in the A fund or the B fund to pay for a project that only benefits the users within the SS sewer district.
Okay.
But the sewer has like 230,000, I think, right?
In contractual.
There are other ways. Not easy.
Yeah.
If you need it.
Correct. Or I mean, just financing.
Or bond it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you would do.
So it can be done.
Can be done.
Can I just ask,
It's gotta happen.
you guys can still apply for the bond and still use the money from the other USDA grant for the pumps? So you can do both at the same time?
That's what we were told by USDA.
All right.
And again, we can still, depending on what it is, but if it's more than we think, or if it's what we think, we could scale it back at certain points if we have to, but we also could apply for WIA and get hopefully some off the cost of that as well. I mean, it's out there. It's coming up.
It's an option.
Yeah.
It is an option. It sounds like we would have to have some additional conversation surrounding that soon,
Yeah.
actually. But for now, it's an option. It's part of what we would recommend for a funding quilt,
Right. Sure.
Brendan Boss would call.
And also too, I mean, the board's got to think as well. We have tens of thousands of dollars invested by hiring laborers, by doing the income survey. So if we say no to this, all that, well, not the income survey necessarily, but the laborers' cost for applying for this sort of is, no pun intended.
Well, if
down
this
the
doesn't
sewer.
pass, it's the end of the project,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
No.
Questions? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Against?
Nay.
Motion passes.
I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution and moves adoption. Whereas the town of Queens, the town, will apply for grant funding from the New York State Office of Homes and Community Renewal, OCR, for a Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, pursuant of Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended, for a wastewater improvement project, Phase 1. And whereas on or about June 17th, 2025, the town of Queens posted and mailed out a request for a proposal, an RFP, for professional services in connection with the town's wastewater improvement project. And whereas the RFP was specifically mailed to the requisite number of minority and women business enterprises service disabled, veteran-owned businesses, and Section 3 business concerns. And whereas responses to the RFP were to be received by the town by July 16th, 2025 at 2 p.m., which was the date 4 or more weeks after the RFP was posted and mailed. And whereas the town reviewed only one response to the RFP, which was opened in public and determined to be responsive, and whereas the town board has reviewed, discussed, and evaluated the response that it received in accordance with the required procedures, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Queens recommends the acceptance and approval of the proposal for program delivery and administration services from the LaBerge Group in connection with RFP, subject to the town being awarded the requested CDBG funding, and will provide notices to proceed with the services to LaBerge Group upon approval of such requested CDBG funding. And further, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to take such actions and sign such documents necessary in connection with this proposal.
Second, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Against?
Nay.
Motion carries. Aye, Supervisor Donnelly offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens will apply for grant funding from the New York State Office of Homes and Community Renewal for a community development block grant pursuant to Title I of Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended for the wastewater improvement project phase 1. And whereas on or about June 5th, 2025, the town Queens posted and mailed out an RFQ for professional services in connection with the town's wastewater improvement project. It's a request for qualifications. Whereas the RFQ was specifically mailed to the requisite number of minority and women business enterprises, service disabled veteran-owned businesses, and Section 3 business concerns, and whereas responses to the RFQ were received by the town by July 3rd, 2025 at 12 p.m., which was the date 4 or more weeks after the RFQ was posted and mailed. Whereas the town received a total of 3 responses to the RFQ, which RFQs were opened in public and determined to be responsive. And whereas the town board has reviewed, discussed, and evaluated the responses it received in accordance with required procedures. Now be it resolved that the town board of the town of Queens recommends the acceptance and approval of the proposal for engineering services received from the LaBerge Group in connection with the RFQ, subject to the town being awarded the requested CDBG funding, and will provide notices to proceed with the services to LaBerge Group upon approval of such requested CDBG funding. And further, the town board authorizes the town supervisor to take such actions and sign such documents necessary in connection with this proposal.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilperson Bruno. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Against?
Nay.
Motion carries.
I am still missing a couple of evaluation sheets.
Yeah, I
I have
drop
mine.
For you.
I'm gonna need those for grant purposes.
What's that?
You know?
Oh, I will not be offering this resolution.
Okay. I, Councilmember Bruno, offer the following resolution and move its adoption. Whereas the town of Queens Town intends to complete the Queens Landing Riverfront Improvements Project, the project consisting of park enhancements, and whereas the scope of work includes the following: 40 feet by 20 feet, a gazebo to replace the existing aging gazebo. Second, a dog park enclosed by a 450 feet chain link fence. 3, a 10 by 18 feet sports ramada near the existing basketball court. 4, a new sign for the entrance of the park. And 5, 3 flag posts for the American flag, POW/MIA flag, and the New York State flag. And whereas the town board of the town seeks to authorize the submission of a grant application by the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, BOCES, on behalf of the town for a 50% matching grant for the project. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town hereby authorizes BOCES to submit a grant application for 50% matching fund matching grant for the project in the total amount of $351,150, with the town being responsible for slightly more than one half the total project cost, $176,910. And be it further resolved that the town is authorized and directed to agree to the terms and conditions of the grant, the contract, if it is awarded. And be it further resolved that the town is authorized and directed to agree to the terms and conditions of any required deed of easement granted to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and affects title to real property owned by the municipality and improved by the grant funds, which may be a duly recorded public access covenant, conservation easement, and or preservation covenant. Be it further resolved that the town board of the town delegates signing authority to execute the contract and any amendments thereto, any required deed of easement, and any certifications to the town supervisor.
Second discussion?
So for discussion, at our last Thursday's meeting, the resolution was for $95,030.30, or $95,030, with the town being responsible for $47,515. This resolution tonight now indicates that the amount is $351,150, with the town being responsible for $176,910. Can you explain to the people here that may not have been listening last Thursday why that increase in?
The other question I have too is, when the resolution was presented on Thursday night for $95,000 approximately dollars, and we were going to get $47,000 back as a match for 50%, and then it was discovered by, some discussion with Member Schmidt and myself, and I asked you directly, how much would this cost be? And after some discussion with the highway department saying that they couldn't do this, how much was this project gonna cost installed? And you told us $179,000. So in reality, the project would have only, with $47,000 reimbursement as it was presented, but it had only been 26% back, and then it would have been a pile of equipment sitting there with no plan, to get it installed, because the highway department wasn't going to do it, nor should they have been required to do it, and we would have had to bid out whatever the prevailing wage would have been to actually get this installed. And, I know a lot of husbands out there like myself who buy a lot of stuff and it sits there. I'll do the project later. So now we get an email on Monday, as to your explanation as to why you submit for $179,000, and you say that the total cost on Monday was $179,000 installed, full value installed with the materials. Now we get a thing today saying it's $351,000, which is a significant increase from your email yesterday saying that the total cost was $179,000. So if we passed this resolution on Thursday for $95,000 and only got back $47,000 on a $351,000 project, we would have only gotten back 13%. And the town would have been on the hook for a lot more than we've been kind of told. Why wasn't this told to us on Thursday?
Before Tuesday.
So first of all, this is just a grant application.
But I know it's a grant application.
We just listened to you,
Why
Ron.
weren't the numbers, the actual numbers told
If you
us
want to be
on?
quiet for a second, I'll answer your question. You want to continue?
Okay.
You ready?
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is an application for a grant for BOCES, which we spent $20,000 so that they would write grants for us. I know grants are confusing to everybody out there. The town is not on the hook for anything. This is for grant application to be submitted. If in the future, if we pass this, we don't have to accept it, what would have happened if we passed that resolution was the grant would have been rejected because it did not fulfill the requirements.
That I understand.
Now the information that I got from Kim Rossman was incorrect. So I called her manager after the meeting of the 24th when inquiries were raised, questions were asked, called him for clarification, and he sent it to me. And I sent you the email today with the Excel spreadsheet with the budget. Those are the true numbers from Kim Rossman's boss. Okay, so Sometimes mistakes are made at BOCES with grant writers, sometimes they're people make mistakes. Town's not on the hook for anything. There's no reason for everybody to get upset. Let's just calm down a little bit. This is just a grant application because we paid BOCES. The board decided to spend $20,000 on grant writing services. So Kim and I worked as fast as we could through this because the deadlines are approaching. Because that's when these deadlines are all ending, the 31st of July.
But we've had BOCES since last July.
And also confirming that
Correct.
So we don't have to worry
about the BOCES deadline now, because if we don't apply for this now, we can apply for this later, according to the email, I think either you
That
sent.
I wrote, no,
Or
that
you
I
wrote.
wrote, yeah.
The issue
So
that I have,
if we pass this and it gets accepted and we are awarded monies, we're not on the hook for anything. We can always reject it. We can always, and these are state funds. Was something that we were trying to articulate. State funds will most likely be available next year. We're not quite sure about CDBG funds next year. We don't know. Well, it's a bit unstable in the federal government right now. So we don't know if monies are going to be coming federally for us. But we do know we possibly have a chance for New York State funds. So we wanted to push this through because once again, we spent $20,000 for grant writing services. So we wanted to get as much as we could, as quickly as we could.
the issue that I have is that there's a lack of transparency. In the email that Mr., and I apologize, DeCiccio sent to you on Tuesday, July 29th at 9:23 a.m., quote, I spoke with Kim and she explained labor had been previously taken out of the budget after a project meeting as the grant project, after a project meeting as the grant project total was getting high.
Right, so that was Kim's
The
recommendation.
board was never informed about a project meeting.
She did not know that. She
The
didn't
obvious-
know that you couldn't take.
That may be, but
The-
she must
the
have had a
installation
conversation
out.
with you during a project meeting that indicated that this was going to be the full scope, and you failed to tell the entire board what the entire conversation was about.
That's
You
inaccurate.
you provided a resolution that said $95,000.
So there was exactly what I just said to Ron. There was a mistake that was made. If the application had went through, it would have been rejected. The town's not on the hook for any money.
You did not tell the board anything.
Use,
You presented us
this
with
money-
with a resolution. You didn't.
I think we talked about this at the last meeting, about if the town did the labor, then we wouldn't be on the hook.
But Mr. Baker wasn't even consulted about that.
I believe he mentioned something.
and it wasn't necessary at all for Highway to do anything at any
No,
time
they weren't.
whatsoever. It
Right.
was a question.
All I'm
Just like
saying
we have
is,
questions here,
there was
questions
clearly a
arise.
project meeting that was held and no information was provided to the board about that project meeting.
Well, as Nick was introduced to this, and also Kim was on vacation, that's why that got pushed through last week. She was gone for 10 days.
Okay,
So then I had to pivot to her manager.
okay,
so
so when
once
was this
again-
project meeting?
The phone call, I'll have to go back into my records. I keep a work journal of everyone that I sent
Yeah.
emails
I'd be curious
to,
to know.
meetings with, and phone calls with. And I can give you that information. But as it stands, if we want to approve this so that we're not wasting money and time from what we already spent for BOCES, we can do that. Town's not on the hook for anything.
So we have a town hall upfit that's currently out for bid that we have no idea what it's gonna cost yet. We are now, we've now entered into a resolution that potentially says that anything above $2 million for CDBG, the town would be on the hook for. And now you have an authorization here where you want the town to pay $176,910.
And it might not be that, Steve.
Once again, I know that grants are confusing and they're hard to understand, but the town's not on the hook for anything. It's a mischaracterization. It's inaccurate.
So it's what you're saying is, the work was done, the information was given between you and BOCES, even though, obviously, in my opinion, this is not for this year, it's not for this summer because we have other things going on. If we accept this, and if by chance we do get the grant, we can deny it, but still the work was done so we can go after it later on, or I guess I'm not understanding.
We can keep it and submit it whenever we want, but once this is done, we'll have the work. We're just paying for their writing the final draft of the application.
If we accept this grant, the town has to pay $351,000 out of their pocket, and then we would be
That would
reimbursed
be a board decision,
$176,000. That's how we would get this project done.
Correct. And that's a board decision.
I don't know, I think getting the town hall done first and the sewer done first is a much
We
bigger
don't even know what town
priority.
hall's gonna cost.
I just
So
think
the
those,
bid
I think
documents
those
are
two
in, we're
bigger
just
priorities.
waiting for the code enforcement agents, code enforcement officer to contact Jim Clark, let him know that the base documents are meeting code requirements. I spoke to Jason yesterday and I sent an email with both Jason and Jim on it today to get him that information so that we can move forward as quickly as we can.
Why
And
don't
we
you
are-
include the board on those emails, just out of curiosity? Like, do you not want the board to know what's going on a day-to-day basis, or?
No, it's not anything to the, that's also a mischaracterization.
I didn't get an email about your,
We're here at the meeting, this is where the information comes out, that's why we discuss these things, that's why we have an agenda, and that's
Well,
why.
it's not
we
on the
go through
agenda.
this. Well, this is a special meeting just for these resolutions that didn't get passed on the 20th.
So, Mr. Donnelly, this would be like phase 3 though, because we already have grants from BOCES for phase 1 and phase 2, correct?
There's no real phases, they're just grants that were
Right.
written for Parks and Recs
Well, we have
because
two other
those-
grants that.
That was the cycle that we were in right now.
Right.
Grants have cycles, as you could tell from Mr. Siegel telling us CDBG is about to end and we is about to start. It's the same with Parks and Recs. As you heard from Mr. Siegel at the beginning, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of ways to go. Grants to apply for and thousands of ways to go through them.
Right,
So,
but I'm just saying,
once
if this
again-
wasn't accepted, we still have 2 grants that BOCES has written for us that we're going after. One is
these are just applications.
I know.
These are just applications. We're just applying for grant. We're just having a resolution so the application can go to the grant agency. That's it.
And then if this comes back and it's approved, we decide if we want to pay
Correct.
$350,000 or not.
Correct.
We could always say no.
But why would you do that?
Why would you do what?
Say no.
Oh, I mean, that's a discussion.
Well, to save $177,000, I mean,
Then why are you doing this?
Why apply?
Like, if you're gonna get a grant, go for it, do it. Don't say, we're gonna get a grant, but we may not, we may reject it.
Correct.
To me, that's crazy.
Correct.
If you're gonna go for a grant and do it. Don't say we're gonna apply and then we get it. No, we don't.
what I'm thinking, Dan, is,
That's crazy.
well, it may be crazy to you, but in my opinion, what I'm saying is, we have a lot going on in the next few months.
Then don't apply for it then.
Right. I'm getting to that, Dan. I'm getting to that. So my thing is, if we go forward to this, we have, like you said, the town hall, we have, the sewer, and who knows what else
They're
can come up.
really unrelated. This
Well,
is
it's all
just
money, though.
an application that
Right.
we are using because we spent $20,000 on BOCES. I don't know how to make it any clearer than that.
Dan, I agree with
It's
you.
just the application. So once the town is purchasing the application from BOCES,
Yeah.
we can submit it anytime we want. We can submit it next year because funds will probably be there. State funds will probably be there.
So this isn't submit
We're-
the application, just gets it from BOCES essentially? Is that what you're saying?
It's allowing BOCES to submit the application to Parks and Rec.
This was Mr. Donnelly's way to justify us spending $20,000 to BOCES. He can now say that a grant has been submitted.
We voted for that.
Yeah, we
I
will.
understand.
By the way, if you
I
guys want to
understand.
remember, back at the beginning of the term when I tried to get Nicole Ambrosio to be the grant,
We voted that down.
to have her, she was $1,000 a month. Remember, we argued about that back and forth?
Of course.
No, we didn't want to spend $12,000 annually. We wanted to spend $20,000 on BOCES. I was against that. And what happens is the supervisor's office picks up the slack and becomes the grant manager essentially. So my apologies if that email didn't go out to you. That will not happen in the future. You will have all the numbers before meetings guaranteed.
Appreciate that.
My promise.
Appreciate that.
I think what Danny's saying is like, if we apply for a grant and then don't take it, it does look foolish. However, I think applying for a grant that is potentially could cost us $176,000 in a time when we have a significant bill coming due before the end of this year to finish that town hall. We may have a significant, bond that we may have to take out for this sewer plant. Not to mention, we haven't even started thinking about what we're doing about the employees in this building. We're not even forward thinking about this place yet, or at least there hasn't been any discussion with me about forward thinking with this place yet. There's a lot of things that we got going on that's going to cost this town money. And right now, I think applying for a grant to give the illusion that we're trying to spend for $351,000 to the public is not the best look for a dog park right now. It really is not. And I know there's a gazebo and some flagpoles and all that too, but I think town hall and making sure that people can flush their toilets is the priority, and I think this is foolish to apply for right now, and we can apply for it at a different time.
I mean,
You can apply for it at a different time.
I respect that you.
Once we give BOCES the authorization to do this, we can apply anytime we want. This is just a piece of paper with numbers on it.
I respect the fact that you wanna get something for your money, because I was on the board when Nicole was here and we spent 12,000, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Schmidt and Linda,
We got zero.
we didn't get a lot back from that. So what, you know what I mean? But I think that's, and I don't wanna say it's kind of the nature of the beast, but when you spend, or if you allocate grant money, sometimes you don't know. You may get them, you may not, right? But when you hire a grant writer, there's no guarantee
Right.
you're gonna get anything. So what, I respect what you're trying to do.
Bang for your buck on this one, because I was working my ass off on these 3 grants.
No doubt.
I was out there taking
But I would-
pictures and measuring.
I would just say maybe, like Ron's saying, and I sit here listening to you guys saying, well, if we get it, we can always reject it. I'm saying, that makes no sense to me, right?
Right.
So maybe don't apply for it. And it's unfortunate that
You're buying the application, you don't have to apply right
No,
away.
but
You can wait till next year. I'm sorry, Richard.
This is provided to you, I mean, they've provided you the application that they're going to submit, right?
They're waiting for this.
But I mean, they've sent their draft.
The draft,
they've sent
yeah.
their descriptions.
Yeah, no, as a matter of fact, I
You-
sent it to you guys.
I guess I would just offer, you have the benefit of your $20,000 expenditure, right? You paid BOCES $20,000. In exchange for that, they have prepared and submitted 2 grants, and they've prepared the language for a 3rd grant. And you can decide, you want to proceed with that at this time, or maybe not, but at least you have the information prepared by BOCES.
Right.
So that if you did it next year, you would take their information and submit it on your own.
Well, she typically sends her final after everything comes. Well, she has in the last 2, so I'm just going by what traditionally it has happened, the last 2 grants. But either way.
I believe she could also revise this grant, take out some of the items, just put in the most important item, and it would be less money than for the town to be able to put in. It wouldn't have to be all of these things. Some of them are, like the dog park, is it really a necessity? No, it really isn't.
Well, I would have to go by,
Well,
once
no,
again,
but
Mr.
listen.
Siegel saying that you can scale back. I would assume that that's true with
I'm just saying,
most grants.
Well, the
I don't know.
gazebo's important. To replace a gazebo is really important. They use that all the time and it's getting worse. But a dog park, no. Flagpoles, no. I mean,
Okay.
I'm just saying, could it be cut back and then there's
Well,
less
the
investment?
flagpoles, because where the World War I memorial is, and I think we discussed this, we were gonna move it and put World War I, World War II, and Vietnam memorials, but it was, the neighborhood said that the
Right,
children use
but-
that part. Also, we wanted to move that so that we could have a larger area for cars to drive by while boats are launching. In the future, it's just a part of a piece. Once again, as Rich states, we could just take we don't need a final draft. It's, honestly, we got the work from BOCES that we wanted from them. Just utilizing the money that we spent.
Scott's got a question.
I just, if it's okay, I just wanna make a statement. Yes, you can scale back a project through the Parks program. We did that twice in the last year, and so same situation, didn't wanna spend up to a certain point.
Sure.
Projects got scaled back to a reasonable amount, and
Is that typical?
they were
with most
fine with it.
grants?
I wouldn't say, it depends on the project. I wouldn't say it's overly common, but it's absolutely not uncommon.
Okay.
You can do it.
So I guess my question to the board is, like, what if this didn't say 351,000 and we, half of it is 177? If it said said 200,000 or 100,000, and we'd come up with half, like half the amount. I mean, because that's essentially what we could do. We could have this now, and then we scale back and say, I don't want the dog park, I don't want the flagpoles, I just want the gazebo. I mean, the gazebo, let's say it's $60,000. Like 50% is a pretty good deal. I mean, I don't know.
I'm not in favor. I think we have enough things to focus on.
If you don't do it, you'll never have it. If you get it, you could say, we're in a good spot now.
And you may not
This
have
came
the
in
money.
less than we had. This came in less than we thought we were going to spend. You know what? We can beautify the park more. If we never send it, we'll never have it. If we do send it,
Then
we
we
can
should
always
go
skip.
after a grant that's 100%, not 50%.
Most grants aren't today.
It's what's out there. I mean,
A lot of grants are matching, or a portion of it at least. Not the grants I do, mine aren't.
Right, and I think
For
I
government
articulated that
grants.
in the email because our contract was ending with them, it was this.
I understand your position.
because I think this is crazy. These numbers are way too high. I would never spend this, even if we got half off. But I'm looking in the future, if we get half off of something, $80,000 for something, at least we have that in our back pocket. And if we don't want to use it, don't use it. But it doesn't cost us any more money to accept it. It costs us $0 to accept it. We've already paid. The only thing we have to do is deny it or accept it or lower the cost and lower it for later on. I mean,
Well, knowing that there's no deadline really to submit it by July 31st, through both seasons, we can submit it in other avenues. There's no rush to actually submit it as it is. So, again, submit it down the road when we have some less irons in the fire.
Any further discussion? William?
You guys were talking about the building. Are they in the process?
You're going
To a new topic. We'll get that during public comment.
Okay.
There's no further discussion about this resolution. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Resolution does not carry.
whose turn is it? Okay. I, Councilmember Stott, offering the following resolution with its adoption, whereas the Town Board of the Town of Queens previously passed resolution number 07825 to authorize Recycle Day held on June 14th, 2025, and to approve the payment of transfer and tipping fees from budgeted funds. And whereas at that time, the Town Board agreed that the town had received sufficient interest income from its NICLAS investments to add to budget line A 8160.4 in the event the Highway Department needed those monies for other expenses. And whereas the Chief Fiscal Officer of the Town of Queens has determined that in order to maintain proper balances within various accounts, an amendment to the 2025 budget is necessary. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Queens does hereby authorize Supervisor Stephen Donnelly to amend the 2025 budget as depicted below for the budget year 2025. From A 8160.4, increase appropriations, A 8160.4, refuse and garbage contractual, $2,419.26, and then increase appropriate fund balance, A 0599 fund balance, to $2,419.26.
Second, and for discussion purposes, this resolution was tabled. Councilperson Schmidt had, I guess you said different numbers, but you couldn't find where they were.
Correct.
So Regina's numbers are correct, and we're going to now yes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution carries. Where are we? Oh, upcoming meetings. PBZBA, August 11th and 27th at 7 p.m. And our next meeting is the 14th at 6 p.m. of August. I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss legal matters. Oh, I'm so sorry. Public comment. We've been talking so freely.
So did I hear, have we already started bidding for the work over in the?
The bid documents are in.
Okay.
So they have to be sort of approved by code enforcement to let Jim know that he can have LaBerge stamp them so that we can move forward. It's a small process.
You mean to actual start the bidding?
Start the bidding.
Correct.
And that's about a month.
August 26th is the, yeah.
Return date.
It only has to be out for 5 days technically.
Okay, and so we have, you're talking about, it's gonna be minimal work though, right?
Yes.
So there's not like gonna be like a major cost for that to get.
No, we went back and nothing's gonna happen to the supervisor's office, HR, or payroll, just town clerk's office, assessor's office, and code enforcement. And then the center is gonna be reception, and behind a wall that's gonna, a partition there will be our main conference room.
And now you're gonna try to get this done before the first,
December 15th.
December 15th.
The proposed bidding documents right now say that the work has to be completed by December 15th.
Okay. And if there's anything that there's an issue with, is there a contingency?
There's gonna be a fee that's put on to the bidder, to the contractor, for any day longer than
Liquidated
December
damages for $1,000 a day, anything beyond December 15th.
All right, thank you.
Although I was a little concerned by a report by the homeowners association and builders association that they're saying that there's potentially a shortage of supplies in the next 3 to 6 months. Because of tariffs and other things. So that's a little concerning.
Fingers crossed.
Ready?
Ready.
All right. Last Thursday, you approved a resolution for me to advertise the public bidding for the new town hall. In it, it says that the proposed contracts for bidding are ready. I don't have contracts for bidding. I received the final contract today at 4:30 p.m. on July 29th. So on July 24th, the board approved what they said in here was going to be final bidding documents that they had approved construction bids. You didn't have them, and you haven't approved them yet. So I feel as though you need to rescind this resolution, wait until you actually have the document stamped, time-stamped in my office, and then redo it. Because I'm not going to put it out to bid until I actually have a time-stamped version of it that's approved after the fact that you've approved it. It has not been done. I don't know what else to say about that, but I need a stamped copy of the complete and final documents. This announcement states that I need to be able to put certain aspects of it on the website. I do not have those aspects. And most of those things I can't even put on the website anyway. But still, I do not have the proper documents to advertise for this at this time. That's a problem. So I am requesting that you rescind, which would be Resolution 102-25, authorizing me to put this out to bid because it is not ready and you have not provided me with actual bidding documents.
So on July 14th, I think it was, the supervisor had received the contract documents package from Mr. Clark. He forwarded that on to the board as well as our office. As we had, and essentially they have the form of the contracts attached, right? It's a contract document. It has blanks throughout it, right? Because we don't actually know the party that we're going to contract with. It's the form that the contract is going to take. As we talked about at the last meeting, a substantive change that we have proposed to make to that was to increase the liquidated damages penalty from $250 to $1,000. And so we circulated today sort of the clean version of that form document that has that change. It does admittedly have a couple of other clarifications that Michael and I thought were appropriate. I'd characterize them frankly as non-substantive. But before we sent them out, we did.
But you need a stamp copy.
Pardon me?
But once again, what you did on July 24th was say that you had approved the bid documents and we had them. You also discussed on July 24th how you were going to make changes.
Right.
Which weren't finalized till today, and you haven't approved that document yet because it came in at 4:30 p.m.
Right.
So who knows if you've all even actually seen it.
We haven't. Not the revised
So
document.
procedurally, this is not good. It's a mess.
Yes.
And I won't be posting it until I actually have documents that I could provide for a contractor should they contact me. That's my job. And you guys went ahead and approved it to be advertised, but you don't have the documents. Like, no one right now has all the full finalized documents.
Is that not what you sent out today?
No, it's, you sent out the contract, but as far as the bid paperwork, all the attachments that I need to
I
put
didn't
on the
get it
website,
finalized.
none of that is there. And this came out at 4:30 today, 4:30. So if you
All of
had
those-
time to go through the 75
I
pages.
didn't get it.
Well, I'm just saying, if you had time to go through the 75 pages in the past hour and a half before here, that's awesome. But literally, 75-page document finalized today at 4:30 PM. And you approved it last Thursday.
I mean,
What I had approved was, you know, the contract documents that we had at that point in time, so to your point.
subject to the clarification that it was going
But
to
to
be.
Candace's point, we still haven't received the finalized contract document to review and approve.
Yeah, and I would
Correct.
disagree that for you to take the action you took, requires you to have the stamped plan in front of you as opposed to the plan that he has submitted to be stamped. I agree with Candace that she shouldn't actually post anything on the website until she has the documents that the notice indicates she has available in her office, and we haven't asked her to do that. So we've been working with Mr. Clark to submit the final documents that we can submit. I understand that he's also working with Jason to confirm that Jason doesn't have any questions so that he can stamp that.
When do we expect that?
Like I said earlier, I spoke with Jason yesterday and sent another email out today. Would it seem accurate to say that Jim is waiting for code enforcement to say yes? Because I was explicit in my email today that the supervisor's office is not capable of approving code enforcement office approval, so that Jim can send it to LaBerge to be stamped, and then.
Yeah, I mean, that's, my understanding is Jim wants to be sure that Jason doesn't have any concerns.
No, but has anybody had a conversation with Jason as to how long it's gonna take him to review the document?
Jason's on vacation.
Oh,
No,
there
he's
you go.
back. I
He's
talked to
back.
him yesterday, and I said by the end of the day, and then Jim emailed to me, FYI, I didn't get the document from Jason. He had a question about the assessor's office and a question of the attorney's office. So that was about 3:00 this afternoon that I addressed each item and CC'd Jason on it and you as well, as you know. So we're waiting for Jason.
Hopefully tomorrow we can review those, and any questions he can have,
Yeah,
pass along to
let's-
Jim, and then we
The
have it
question becomes, though,
finalized.
do we rescind the resolution?
Does that need to happen?
I don't think it needs to happen. If that's what the board wants to do, you could certainly do it, and we could prepare a new resolution, and we could have another special meeting.
I mean, I have to rely on your expertise.
Yeah, I mean, we will not direct or ask Candace, or the town clerk, to put anything on the website until we have those final documents. The notice refers to the form of the contract. The form of the contract, it's not the final contract, right? We don't even know who we're contracting with. I mean, there's certain information that we can't put in there.
Well, obviously, but the stipulations of that contract and the $1,000 a day you're gonna charge people, that's in there now, but it wasn't in there on the 24th.
Yeah, and I mean, the board, we had a discussion about that on the 24th. From a legal perspective, I am comfortable that we didn't, based on that discussion last Thursday, have to decline to take action so that we could recirculate something that changed, 3 digits for you then to be able to be in a position to act. There's a sentence or two that we added just to confirm that some things, to make express that they survive the termination of the contract. I don't, it's not really a substantive change. It's, for better or for worse, every time we look at something, you think, well, maybe I'll add this sentence there or sentence there, but
3 digits would equal $750 a day for someone.
based on the discussion that we have with the board. I mean, I
Correct.
just don't think,
But I mean, to say it's 3 digits is, to me, is making light of it when it's a substantial amount. And we still have, who has seen the engineered prints, who has seen the specs, who has seen this?
I mean, those were
I
all
have.
attached to the July
Email
14th.
with the-
I have not.
Okay.
I was not privy to that email.
I have that.
So we tend to not send things to the clerk's office that actually need to be there, like finished documents that are signed. And this isn't a finished document. So I'm not going to be putting it out.
That's what I'm
Fair
saying.
enough.
And we're not asking.
Correct.
Okay.
So Candace will hold off. We have to have, see if Jason can get that done tomorrow. We have to send Candace the email.
And I'd like to see it, the revised
Sure.
contract.
Right. Send Candace the email with all the specs and the diagrams, right?
So again, that was sent out this afternoon, the revised contract.
4:30.
Oh, then I was probably already here.
Okay, if there's no further, public comment?
One thing, maybe for Rich and Scott, with the respect to the playground equipment down at the river, that area's in floodplain, so I'm just curious, and maybe Jason may be the one to ask. That whole area's in floodplain, so I don't know how that affects the application for that grant. I forgot to ask it Thursday night, so that's why I'm here to ask that.
Not going forward.
It's not
That
going.
one's not going forward,
Oh,
but that's
okay.
something to take
Okay.
into consideration,
Okay.
decide to consider it.
Because I've seen that flood all the way up to the top of the hill.
We actually had that discussion with Nancy Costine, yeah, okay, very good.
Thank you.
I got some comments mainly about everything that went on here today, but it's really about the last board meeting.
What's your name?
Richard Connell.
Oh, yeah, hey, Richard.
I previously sent an email to each of you to resolve concerns prior to any meeting rather than airing them in public. Most things can be resolved by communication. Thank God for the meetings being televised. We see it all. I suggest review of each televised meeting if you are not already. Supervisor, your door is always open. You've stated that on numerous occasions. You can meet in your office for a few minutes prior to the meeting. The public can wait a few moments. $800,000 bond, the airing of the meeting did not, you already started your meeting and then the YouTube started. So I don't know where I
It's about an hour and a half behind, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I'm not privy to everything, but, so I just started with $800,000 bond, because that's the first words I heard. Far too many open issues. Why'd you wait mere hours to submit this for board input? You're stating that July 31st is the deadline. Why didn't you prioritize this if it's so important?
Which one, what are you talking about?
The bonds, July 31st date.
CDBG grant.
Okay, that's all I heard was it's a July 31st date. And that's 2 days from now.
Correct.
So if it's so important, it should have been prioritized. This should have been in the works way before last week.
Well,
It's not a question and answer. I'll let you know.
Thank you.
The question.
It was answered earlier though by Scott.
There's no excuse. Well, no, it should have been done way before. There's no excuse. We're a small community and you're acting like this is monopoly money. We have way too many outstanding projects with no idea of final cost. Why do you constantly submit resolutions with improper associated cost, raising legitimate concern? As an aside, we need a police and court building. What is that status? No clue of final cost. That's how we put the horse before the cart. He told a board member he's not doing a good job, stating why is he on the board if he has a full-time job? Mr. Stott, did the supervisor ask you to resign because you have a full-time job?
No.
With all due respect, Supervisor, are you nuts? The board member is constantly calling you out when you present inaccurate information. we in the public appreciate his actions. It is called fiscal responsibility. When I first started my career, I took a 2-semester course called Management Concepts, Practices, and Skills. It's clear this is something you should investigate. If you are here full-time, why are you waiting mere hours to present vital, final documents for action? This is happening too often. It seems you don't have the capacity for proper time management. I'm beginning to hear all the members of the board speaking up regarding these issues. It's beginning. We cannot continue to stand for the supervisor's snide remarks, resolutions that do not have correct associated dollar value, and general incompetence. At this point, I would like to ask the board to seek all means to remove the supervisor for cause from his position and install a deputy on an interim basis. Thank you.
Any further comment? Hearing none, I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss legal matters,
Contract negotiations.
contract negotiations,
Two different agreements.
and 2 separate agreements.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Will you be returning?
We will
We will not be returning or making any